This program is a paid commercial announcement and in no way represents the views of WPHT or its management.
Now on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor.
If we don't move in our own direction, we're going to become extinct. In fact, in some cases, we're close to being extinct right now.
Presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries, and powered by the law offices of Pond, Lehocky, Stern, Giordano. Talk, listen, and speak to the region's most influential leaders. It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor.
Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Good evening, Delaware Valley, as we roll into what is Eagles weekend and we all get ready for a big night tomorrow night down at the Link J Dock. We've got a great show tonight, a big announcement, a big guest in the studio as well, but I welcome you in on this Eagle Green weekend in the city of Philadelphia. Nice to be back here live in the studio.
Sorry, Joe, is there something exciting going on in the weekend or tomorrow in South Philly? Absolutely fantastic. You know, I was listening to the fight song there last night. I think it was on one of the news stations. I don't know if you guys saw it, but somebody spelled Eagles wrong. Finally, it happened on TV, live TV. But yeah, it couldn't be more excited. Great way to kick off the weekend. Obviously, got a great show. This is a massive initiative for us. It's the introduction to the PhillyAtWork Jobs Initiative. Saturday nights here on the PhillyLabor Radio Show. It's going to be a hub for showcasing everything jobs in the Delaware Valley.
All right, well, all good stuff and a great lineup of guests, including Councilman at Large David O. We'll bring him into the conversation in just a moment. Let's set the table a little bit, J-Docs, but spend 30 to 60 seconds on outlining the table of what the initiative is, what it means. We want to become a hub for showcasing everything about jobs in the Delaware Valley. That's what the station promo was on all week on this radio station. That's what the focus is going to be all about.
This is a key element into our expansion into the labor force. Saturday night with PhillyLabor, typically organized labor, expanding into the labor force. Pat Eiding always says we don't care only about those with a collective bargaining agreement. We're going to prove it here on the show. We're going to be pairing employers with job seekers, doing live segments featuring the top people in a plethora of industries, HR professionals, headhunters, recruiters, apprentice coordinators, employers. We're going to be providing connections, job availabilities. We're going to be hosting job fairs and doing special segments with the top professionals in the industry, networking events, the whole gamut.
Gee, J-Doc, I never heard you talk that fast.
I've been working on this all week, Joe.
It's Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We're presented by Weinerman Pain and Wellness, serious doctors for serious injuries. We're powered by Pond Lehocky, the workers' compensation law firm. We're fueled by our good friend Jim Stevenson at Chapman Ford up in the great Northeast. Get to know Jim Stevenson at 215-698-7000. And we're supported by the Sonesta Hotel, where in 2 weeks we'll have our monthly roundtable with all of our labor leaders, all of that coming up. In studio tonight, we're going to introduce you to Mike Ferarro, who's the president of Bridging the Gap. Mike, a good Saturday evening to you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here tonight.
Nice to have you here. We'll introduce our listening audience to Mike as we roll on, and also Joe Robinson, who is the mentoring coordinator at the Pennsylvania Prison Society. He's sporting a beautiful Temple sweater, and he's in studio tonight. Joe, welcome into the studio as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right, good stuff, and we'll bring Joe into the conversation as well. Plus, later on, from the Plumbers Local 690, John Quirk will join us as well. Right now, let's get the Councilman at Large, David O., who weighs in on the hotline. Not in the studio tonight, but somehow, wherever he is, I imagine he's feeling or listening to the Eagle fight song as he gets ready himself. David, a good Saturday evening, sir. How are you?
Hey, doing great, and good Saturday evening to all of you.
Great to have you, David, and certainly on a festive weekend here. Yeah, hopefully it ends as well as it starts. One thing, we're talking about our jobs initiative, and you and I sat down the earlier part of this week, and I laid it out to you. One question I want to ask you as a public official. What priority is jobs and putting Philadelphians to work? What priority is that to you?
Oh, that's in the top three. One, being safe, having your life and your health. Two, jobs. You have to be employed or have opportunities to be an entrepreneur, to have not only your life but a livelihood and a future and a dream. And number three, of course, we have to make sure that people are prepared for that, and they can put all those together to have a good quality life and live the American dream. And so jobs is right up there on top.
No, we talked about, during the week, several, the key elements in the jobs program being, the small business community, partnering with them. Obviously, a large portion of our city and our nation, is employed by small businesses. And so that's a big key. Military veterans jobs, putting our vets to work, which I know is near and dear to you. Second chance job opportunities for individuals that are reentering society. Union jobs, for individuals that want to get in the workforce, in the union workforce. Tell me, let's start off with the small business initiative. You and I had a long conversation about that. Tell me your thoughts on it and your opinions on where we can go with it.
Well, I think that's really fantastic. I mean, first of all, what you laid out for me, number one, congratulations. Number two, thank you so much. I mean, basically, you're doing something really, really new, cutting some new ground, combining radio, multimedia opportunities to reach out to folks like never before, coordinate that with, as you said, the job fairs. But yeah, basically targeting, going beyond those high-skilled union jobs. You need apprenticeship. So important to have those skills. But yes, going out to the professional area, going out to entry-level jobs, focusing on veterans, persons, as you say, second chance. You really say first chance, I know, but
yes.
But all those type of things, just the broad depth of making sure that you're touching all kind of corners of what people need in order to be employed. When you talk about small business, yes, that's about 60% of who is employed, either if they're employing themselves or employing others, which in many cases that's what's happening, or subcontracting or contracting out to other vendors. And so your success in other endeavors indicate to me a very good opportunity whereby, talking to employers, small business employers, and preparing for them the type of candidates that they can choose from, making sure that everybody knows what they're getting into, they're qualified, those type of things. I think that is really a big part of people getting real jobs. And what I mean is, as much as people have goodwill, there could be so many candidates, but if at the end of the day all those candidates end up not getting the job, then the whole process, is very discouraging. And so what you're doing with the radio and your initiatives and working with all kinds of folks, myself included, to make sure that what you're doing is effective, I think is really outstanding.
Councilman David O joining us here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor as we come to you on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. Councilman O, before we let you go on a busy Saturday night, let me ask you what the end result potentially will be. When you start an initiative, I think it's important to see the end. I think it's important to define success in some way, shape, or form. You're a savvy guy. You've been around the space a long, long time. As you look at the end, how do you project success with an initiative like this?
Well, I think we look at the real numbers. In other words, we know that there are qualified people who can do a great job, but they are having trouble connecting. They could be skilled people or people with credentials, or they could be entry-level folks or someone with a talent or a knack, let's say at cooking or baking. Any of those type of things. And there's an employer looking for them. They're just having a lot of trouble connecting And so for those that are able to work, looking for work, and those employers are looking for the right person, I think what we're going to measure this by are how many people are going to end up getting jobs through this process.
And I know you're at an event, and I know you have to go. And I want to, we were so excited to work with you on this initiative. But one of the things that we're excited about, as well as providing and exposing job opportunities that people would normally not get, is providing the small businesses with the opportunity, an HR component where we can bring in potential job applicants and job recipients that they normally wouldn't see either. So we're hoping to provide value on both sides.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the keys, because basically, I think there are a lot of small business. They would like to hire someone from right near their small business, someone from the neighborhood, but they cannot tell who is that person who shows up on time, really wants to do a good job, isn't late, doesn't get upset when they're told they're doing something wrong. And they're not able to weed them out.
Exactly.
And there's many reasons for that. Sometimes those employers are from different nationalities or ethnicities. Sometimes English isn't their first language. They're not sure how to penetrate those folks who are looking for jobs. And I think this effort to really identify for them, here are people that meet your expectations. Of course, you're going to have to teach them. They're going to be worth it because they're good workers. And so that process, I think, is very promising, because that's where the failure has been, getting the average person who doesn't have great skills or a college degree or a PhD, a good job to start and a future to build upon.
Councilman David O. weighing in tonight here on Saturday Night Live on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Councilman, as we say goodnight to you on a Saturday night, we will use the platform of this very powerful radio station to drive this initiative, and we appreciate you coming on the program tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, David.
All right, good stuff from Councilman David O. joining us here to kick off what is going to be a great initiative here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. When we come back after our first commercial break, Mike Ferarro, who's the president of Bridging the Gap, is in studio. Joe Robinson, mentoring coordinator at Pennsylvania Prison Society, both in studio, both part of the conversation when we come back.
I was in a place in my life where I had tried to go to college right out of high school.
I've always aspired to be a Marine since the age of 11 when I first saw that inspiring commercial.
I joined the Army, enlisted as a combat medic, 2 tours of duty to Iraq.
By being a resident and also serving in the military for 1 year, I became a citizen.
At first it's nerve-wracking because for me, I don't know about other veterans, but I didn't want to talk about my service to people who wouldn't necessarily understand it.
I'm the only veteran that a significant number of my college friends know. I'm the only veteran that a lot of people in my hometown know. There is a military-civilian divide, and it's everyone's issue.
Back here live on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. It's a very special Saturday in Philadelphia. It's a very special weekend in Philadelphia as the Eagles get ready to play the Vikings in that championship game tomorrow night at Lincoln Financial Field. We've got our own developments here tonight, J-Doc, with the announcement of our initiative all about jobs, jobs, jobs. And our guest in studio, Mike Ferraro, is joining us. I'll give you the opportunity to set the table with Mike, but you heard those audio cues, those little audio vignettes coming out as a transition into Mike Ferraro, who's specializing in the world of veterans, and that's why he's in studio with us tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Part of our PhillyAtWork Jobs Initiative, we're spanning the gamut here in job opportunities with our job initiative, and one of the priorities is jobs for veterans. And Joe, I know it's near and dear to your heart, and certainly when you and I were talking about it, I asked you, and I didn't really know how much experience you had, and you said, no, I know a guy. and his name's Mike Ferarro.
I know a guy, man. I don't know if that's good. That's good, Mike.
Right. Absolutely. And I said that to Mike when I had the pleasure to meet him in person this week. And so he specializes in job opportunities for veterans. I've got a ton of stuff. I'm going to introduce him right now. Mike Ferarro, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here tonight.
It's great to have you. I want to welcome you aboard because you're going to be co-hosting the segment with us, the job segment, and on a monthly, if not weekly basis. And first of all, tell us about yourself and Bridging the Gap.
Sure. So I spent 32 years in the military, the United States Air Force, both on the active duty and reserve side. And I had the opportunity to serve with some amazing people, men and women and officers and enlisted, even civilians as well who supported us. Just fantastic, so patriotic, so gung-ho to support our country. It was really amazing for me to have that opportunity.
And as far and Bridging the Gap, obviously, an initiative that you've been in that arena for a long time. Tell me tell us a little bit about Bridging the Gap and tell us, where it came from.
Sure. So 2 years ago, we started Bridging the Gap for veterans. And so we help active duty, Guard, Reserve, retirees, veterans, spouses, dependents, those veterans who are struggling to find a job. And we put together a career tactics program that provides them the opportunity to learn about how to find a job, how to fireproof their resume, how to use an IGNITE strategy. IGNITE's an acronym, but how to use an IGNITE strategy to get a door open with these phenomenal veteran-friendly employers by speed interviewing. So our capstone is be able to train them, teach them how to fish, teach them how to get a career, and then they go live 5 to 7 minutes with about a dozen or so companies. And we do this every month, several times a month, and people are getting jobs that way. They're getting second and third interviews, and they're getting job offers. And this is right here, right outside of Philadelphia. We host it right at the Joint Base at McGuire-Dix Lakehurst, and we're growing. We're growing around in the tri-state area. And so we want to make a difference. And so we're a nonprofit, and so we have access to the military community. We know how they work. And so we have military career coaches that help support this.
Right here on this radio station, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, a huge, heavy supporter of the military, very actively involved with the USO. The radio station has their first radiothon coming up in the month of February for the USO. Mike, you get it. You understand it. Listening in our listening audience tonight, perhaps veterans out there who never heard of Bridging the Gap, what are some initial bullet points that you would say to them when you first have a conversation with them?
Well, the first thing is I find out where they're struggling at. What kind of problems they're having getting a door open, because people are applying online on all these job boards and job postings. They're not getting responses back. We are chief door openers. We can get the door open for them to get that interview, whether that's going through their HR or some other way to get in the military fraternity to get into that company, or they come and attend our program several times a month so they can meet these employers who are hiring. They want to hire military. This is not just to show the flag. They want to bring in a veteran. They see the value of that veteran being on board because they know they're drug-free, they're dedicated, they're going to be there on time, if not early, and they're going to work the long hours and put the time in and be successful.
And just a quick follow-up on that, you would say... I would say emphatically, I don't know if you would say it emphatically, but the key being getting the door open, opening the door, connecting the two individuals, connecting the veteran to the decision maker.
Yes, I 100% agree. That's really the key thing. We can't give them the job, but we can get them that relationship where they can get that chance to have that conversation. And that conversation lasts anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. And that's enough time to say, you know something, I want you to come back to our headquarters next week, and we're going to follow up this conversation in a second interview.
Yeah, Mike, where did you come up with that? What led you to this passion?
So for me, over the years, being a Command E9, a Command Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, I had the opportunity to work for some phenomenal Americans, as I mentioned. And they would always come up to me and say, can you get this door open for me? I'm trying to go meet this one person in this one organization. And I did. And so now I transpose that to say, well, I could do this in the career side as well. Because I use the military community, the fraternity that's out there. I use LinkedIn a lot of our grassroots, programs through the American Legion and through the VFWs and all those organizations, even Department of Labor, the American Job Centers and one-stops, to use that fraternity to get the door open. And so I said, I can make a difference, and that's what I wanted to be, a difference maker, a light worker, to be able to help somebody get a career.
Mike Ferarro is visiting with us in the studio, and his part of our job initiative, Jobs, 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 here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. It's one of those initiatives that when we sat down and started planning JDoc 2018, this was number one on the list for Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor. I know it was top 3 with Councilman David O, but he's got a whole myriad of things, responsibilities that comes with it. But our focus using Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor is going to be focused and zeroed in on this jobs initiative. And Mike, it's great to listen and to hear, and I hope our audience gets a real chance, at least tonight, to understand the start or the scope of what you can do.
Oh, absolutely. We have a website, bridgingthegap.vet, and they can go there, they can register with us, and we'll help them. We call back. We work with them. We engage with them. We help them with their resumes. There's no charge. We're there. We're a 501c3. We get sponsors to help us through this. But those sponsors come out every single month and are hiring. They're hiring, and that's what's most important.
Absolutely. And the amazing thing is that when you go on the job websites, there's a lot of standard stuff. The standard protocols that employers are looking for, but you can't measure heart. You can't measure determination and specific types of experience. And certainly, those types of things, it can't be explained, sometimes in a resume that doesn't show that the individual, went to Penn or Harvard, but this individual could have a ton of value.
Yeah. Well, Joe, interesting enough is when we have our class, our Top Gun Career Transition Program, some of these people don't have a resume with them. And so they'll just have a conversation. And what did you do in the military? Explain a little bit about yourself. What do you think you're, in the situation or leadership role, what was your best characteristic, what was your most success you had? Those kinds of questions get answered as a conversation, and that's what they need.
It's sometimes hard for me, Michael, to believe or to understand when you evaluate the training that goes into becoming a member of the military. And you look at the principles, and you look at the rules, and you look at how they're built and how they're structured. It's almost hard to understand why it's tough for them to get employed.
So there's a paradigm shift, meaning that some of the employers don't really understand the value of a veteran. So an HR professional or a hiring manager who's never worked with the military community before doesn't understand really what they bring in. They think everyone carries a gun. They think everyone is taking a hill or flying a jet. They don't realize 90% of the military is transferable skills, from whether it's IT or leadership or supply chain management or some of the medical. There's a whole bunch of skill sets that can be transferred without any problem.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I'm looking forward to working with Mike on the chant segment, that we have an opportunity. We're going to develop this, and it's going to be a big part of what we do, where we offer individuals, and Joe Robinson, I think you'll also be interested in this, where we offer individuals who may not ordinarily have gotten an opportunity, a chance at a job with an employer. Somebody who maybe has been down on their luck, but truly has qualities and really wants it, but you can't see it on that piece of paper. And so, Mike, I'm really looking forward to developing that together and making it a huge part of what we do.
Absolutely. And then also the follow-up. So not only giving that person a chance, but also then the follow-up to see how that person did and where they are the next month later.
Absolutely.
Mike Ferarro in studio with us. Michael, give me the website again. Is Bridging the Gap.
.vet.
.vet. Bridging the Gap. .vet. If you don't know Mike Ferarro, get to know Mike Ferarro. We're glad he's in studio tonight. We're appreciative that he's going to be part of this initiative. And J-Doc, we're just getting started.
Well, listen, this is our introduction show. It's a huge initiative. You and I have been working real hard. Listen, Pat Eiding says it best. Pat Eiding says we don't only care about individuals with a collective bargaining agreement. That means only the people that are protected by a union. We care about all individuals. And listen, the way to get somebody out of poverty, a job. By the way, we're also going to be talking about executive jobs, professional jobs. I mean, listen, one thing that unions enjoy is the opportunity to be protected and have opportunity, especially in the building trades. You know, one building ends, another one starts. You could be a great professional, a college degree, the whole thing, but when that so that company closes, you're on your own. We're going to be fighting for those individuals too, coming up with executive type of initiatives. It's going to be fantastic.
Mike Ferarro, bridgingthegap.vet.
Yes, thank you.
Get to know Mike. Thanks for being in the studio. Hope you'll stay with us for the rest of the show tonight, and look forward to having you back here on Saturday Night Live with Philly Labor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Coming up top of the hour, 8 o'clock. Dan Loney takes you into the night. Topic of conversation, the shutdown. He'll do all of that tonight between 8 and 11. We'll take a break. When we come back, Joe Robinson, sporting a Temple sweater. We bring him into the dialogue when we come back.
Regardless of their zip code, and regardless of their race or ethnicity, I just left the Jesus school this morning and looked at all those young kids that really will have an opportunity to step into the Amazon space with the right resources and the right time and effort that's given to them.
Philadelphia's still on that top list of cities being considered by Amazon. Welcome back to Saturday Night Live with Philly Labor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. A programming reminder, next Saturday night here on Saturday Night Live with Philly Labor. We'll be live from the Convention Center as the auto show kicks off, J-Doc, and I look forward to doing our show live there 1 week from tonight, next Saturday. Again, special thanks to Mike Ferarro for coming in the studio, and now Joe Robinson. We bring him into the conversation. Joe is the mentoring coordinator at Pennsylvania Prison Society. I'll give you the opportunity to set the table for Joe, but he looks good and dapper in a sweater tonight.
And he's a big-time Eagles fan.
He loves the Temple sweater.
Loving it.
He's singing the fight song all the time here, but we bring him into the dialogue.
Joe, obviously I want to welcome you to the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for being here. And certainly part of our initiative is providing, we say second chance opportunities, but you and I talk, and we're saying for many people it's a first chance at an opportunity in life. And so first of all, tell us obviously a little bit about yourself and your job as the mentoring coordinator at the PA Prison Society.
Yes, I work at the Pennsylvania Prison Society, mentoring coordinator. We go inside the jails Mondays and Tuesdays, SCI Greaterford and SCI Chester. We start preparing these guys for coming home, as far as helping them with resumes, getting their life skills and stuff together, start making a plan and goals for the things you want to do when you come home.
And certainly, you know, somebody's done, you know, listen, they've done their time, they've paid their debt to society,
Yes,
but now they're re-entering society, and, you know, you're trying to prepare them. What types of challenges that they walk into once they, you know, are no longer incarcerated?
Yes, well, most of the challenges basically is employment. That is a big thing with housing, but it's a domino effect. So the first thing is employment. So we have to get these guys some type of jobs as employment. Because if they don't have that, they're going back, and we don't need that.
Joe, what do you find? Do you find heavy resistance for those individuals who are re-entering society, or is it reluctance on their part? Which one?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think as far as employers trying to help these guys, but the guys also have to help themselves, as I tell them, because you have to have an education also. Education is going to lead to jobs. So as of now, we're working with Hartman College and Mothers in Charge, Miss Dorothy Sprice Johnson. We're trying to make things happen in that thing. So the first thing, guys do need education also, but we also need jobs, a good start job to get them started, to getting back into society.
No, when somebody is, and this is so important because it affects all of us, you know, in our everyday lives. You know, if individuals can't get invested in a job and re-engaged in society, they're going to end up going back. And that costs, listen, that's a drain on society. And so, you know, we can pay now or pay later. We'd rather give somebody an opportunity. Is that really a normal process? So in other words, people come out and they may be sincere in their initiative, but if they don't get the opportunity you mentioned earlier, they're going back.
Yes, but most of the guys I mentor, most of them, if given the chance, most of them are doing great jobs. Most of the little job contacts I do get, even though I do need much more contacts.
Sure, absolutely.
These guys, I've talked to people. They say, "I don't know. I don't want to see. I want to know if I don't know if I can do this."
Sure.
And they'll call me back and say, "Let's give this guy a chance," and they end up being the best employee they have. So that's all they need.
And
That's a tough thing. That's a tough thing, Joe, to get somebody to give a chance. I think most people are good people in spirit and in their soul, but getting them to actually give a chance, do you find that to be challenging?
Yes, that's one of the biggest challenges is giving the guys a chance. And most of them, when they do get a chance, they make it happen.
Now, do you sometimes have to refer? Like, in other words, will you talk to an employer and say, listen, I got a good feeling about this guy?
Yeah. Well, I tell them, I say, look, the guys I know I'm going to send to you, I can pretty much put my stake on that they're going to do what they got to do. And most of the time it pans out that way. Most of the guys end up being their best employees, or they're going to hire permanently and stuff like that.
Now, are individuals that are, obviously re-entering society, are most of them ready to? In other words, they're changing one lifestyle to another, and are most individuals ready for that opportunity? Does it? Do you find that if they've been, for lack of a better term, institutionalized, let's just say somebody's been there a long time, do they want to, and are they ready to, re-enter in the workforce?
I'd say the majority of the guys I deal with are ready, depending on your type of job and your job skill. Some guys may get a dishwasher job. Some guys may do construction. It depends. A lot of guys got skills while they were inside. A lot of guys may have forklift drivers, HVAC certifications, OSHA certifications. All these guys do have it, but just need a chance.
Joe Robinson is visiting with us in the studio here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Joe is the mentoring coordinator of the Pennsylvania Prison Society and probably finds himself in very challenging conversations, I imagine, and very different conversations based on the individual. There is no formula, and you're not offering miracle pills, are you, Joe?
No, I'm not offering miracle pills. It's all up to the individual and the person. As I'm now, we deal with the juvenile lifers. I don't know if you about that. The law was overturned for all the juvenile lifers to come home now. So, and then working with the juvenile lifers, that is a big adjustment for a lot of guys, because a lot of guys has been away like 30, 40 years. So that's another problem as far as getting these gentlemen jobs. The state lets them out, but where did the help? Where are they getting help?
When you're in the middle of a conversation, because you're dealing with so many different types of people, do you have an idea, and sometimes when you sit down, regarding whether somebody will have the discipline to be able to, be regimented in the workforce?
Yeah, I'm pretty much in tune to because I deal with these guys a lot, so I'm pretty much in tune to what guys want to make something happen. Do they want to go to school? Do they want a job? Or what things they want to do in life? So I'm pretty much in tune to what they're about.
Organized labor is and it's funny because when I had the opportunity to meet Joe and I was doing some research, and a lot of the second chance programs were organized labor because, they're pretty in tune with, individuals that had a rough start, and I always say it's not where you start, you know what I mean? It's where you finish. But however, I had an individual and who came up to me one day on Broad Street when I was working outside, and he by the way, he's an iron worker now. He's an unbelievable guy, and he said, listen, he got out of his car, he ran up to me, didn't know him from Adam, and he said, I got 10 days to get a job. I need an opportunity, or I got to go back. I made a call. It happened to be around the time we were taking apprentice applicants. That guy's been a foreman for us and one of our best guys ever. Mm-hmm. And he knows, if he's listening right now, he knows who I'm talking about, and he's one of my inspirations. So, Joe, let me just say this. We're looking forward to working with you and to making you a part of the initiative in that area.
It's no problem.
Because let me tell you something. The one thing that's darn true, and Mike Ferarro, there are some of our veterans that may have come out that have had some issues, that are stuck in that situation that you said you have an affinity to, and that deserve a second chance.
Absolutely. It hits all walks of life.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, Joe, want to thank you so much.
No problem.
And welcome you aboard.
Thank you very much.
And next time you come in the studio, Joe.
Yes, sir.
You can sport that Temple sweater again. We love it.
No problem.
It's got a good look. You got a good look.
And hopefully we'll be celebrating the Super Bowl.
That's right.
You get a thumbs up from Dan Loney on the sweater. It's good look. Good stuff.
Thank you very much.
Joe Robinson joining us here on the program tonight from the Pennsylvania Prison Society. J-Doc, before we go to break, I just want to give you 30 seconds, not 60, but 30, to just kind of put a synopsis on what we've been talking about so far. I mean, we are covering a big spectrum across the Delaware Valley with this initiative. We've got the city involved, and as you heard from David O, it's one of the priorities for them as well.
Well, listen, I mean, like I said, we're covering the gamut. We're going to work with employers. We're going to work in communities. It's going to be a big part of what our show is all about. And in life, everybody deserves an opportunity. Even those individuals. Listen, like you said, Joe. I mean, everybody's accountable, and certainly you've got to be willing to work and get the education. And individuals out there that have gotten education also deserve other opportunities. You can't control everything. So our point is this: we want to be a conduit to success in the workplace for all people across our state.
All right, all good stuff. Joe Robinson, again, the mentoring coordinator at the Pennsylvania Prison Society, in studio with us. We'll get to a commercial break. When we come back after the break in our final segment, we'll have a little bit of a roundtable discussion, plus John Quirk from the Plumbers Local 690. He's one of the Apprentice instructors. He'll join us by phone when we come back. Back here live on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210. WPHT. Again, special thanks to Mike Ferarro and Joe Robinson in studio with us tonight. Thanks to Councilman David O for calling in. We're going to check in with John Quirk from Plumbers Local 690 in just a moment. A quick programming reminder, 2 weeks, J-Doc, from tonight. 2 weeks from tonight, we'll have our first Labor Leader Roundtable. We'll be live at the Sonesta Hotel. Ryan Boyer will reconvene with Ryan, and he'll join us. Should be a great kickoff to 2018 with our monthly Labor Leader Roundtable live from the Sonesta Hotel.
Ryan Boyer's going to host that. It's going to be a tribute to Black History Month coming up, so looking forward to that.
All right, all good stuff. That coming up in 2 weeks again. Next week we'll be live at the Auto Show. Let's continue our conversation. John Quirk, who's the Plumbers with Plumbers Local 690. He's an apprentice instructor, J-Doc, and he's going to join us in just a moment. But before we bring him in from the conversation, or bring him into the conversation, I'll give you a chance just to set the table for our audience.
Sure. So we're talking about job opportunities and different careers and things like that. And people are probably, obviously, we're, organized labor is a big part of what we do. And what a job in the Philadelphia building trades offers to those interested in a career. And we're going to talk about it with an apprentice instructor who's on the front lines. And it's, John Quirk's a good man, and they got a great program.
John, we bring you into the conversation, and we thank you for taking a moment on a Saturday night to join us here on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor.
How you doing, guys? Glad to be here.
It's great to have you. Great friends with John Kane, the business manager over there.
That means he gets carte blanche on the show, J-Doc.
That's right. And I know Kaner's listening in, so a lot of pressure here. But John's the best. We love him. And so, John, let's talk about, we've had a lot of segments throughout the years about that, our apprentice programs in the building trades and really how much our labor unions put into. But talk a little bit about the curriculum and the intensity of training that a Plumbers Local 690 apprentice experiences when they attend apprentice school.
Well, our curriculum is it starts out before they even become an apprentice. We have a 2-week boot camp. It's a basic boot camp to introduce them to how to use tools, and we just don't want to send them out onto a job and they be awestruck. So we give them their OSHA 10. We give them their training and a little bit of safety, how to use the tools the correct way, just basic things, so they're not like a deer in the headlight, or they get hurt, God forbid, being on a construction job.
Now, John, we talk about, you're a welding instructor, am I correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the different types of, skills that they learn and the classes that they take, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, what we do is we offer many different facets of the whole entire plumbing industry. the biggest thing with them is they're going to come in and they may not know nothing. They may come fresh from high school. They don't need to know nothing. We're going to teach them that over the 5 years. And by the time they come out, they will have a journeyman's license. They will have their backflow certifications. They will know the science behind soldering, brazing, welding. They will know why things work. And that's what we depend on the job for, because those guys have to bridge that gap and do a lot of hands-on with those kids. So our curriculum is based on soldering, brazing, welding, laying out, backflow, CAD. There's so many things that these kids are taught nowadays. Back before I was an apprentice.
Now, John, you had said to me earlier that when so it's a 5-year program, and how many days a week would an apprentice go?
So we go to school basically like a regular school session. We go to school from September to the end of June. We give them all for July and August, but they go one day every 2 weeks.
Okay.
So when you get into apprenticeship, you're going to come in and you're going to get a job and you're going to go to work 9 days and come to school one day. And you will be paid to learn as you earn as you learn.
Now, you know, when
John Quirk joining us here from the Plumbers Union, Plumbers Local 690. John, you're an instructor, so you get an opportunity to evaluate the class and those who are involved in the program. How do you define top of the class?
Well, things I look for, first off, we have a lot of guys that are very outgoing. And the other thing I look for is guys that stay involved, because it's not just a job. It is a lifestyle. It's a career. You're not just going to be going out there and then be sent away and see you later. We like guys that come, they participate, they come to the rallies, they come to the picnics. Those are the types of guys that I personally look for. And, you know, I give them guys a lot of credit because they're missing time from their families to do these types of things, or they can even bring their families with them. But a guy that, you know, he wants it. He doesn't care that he's taking a cut in pay to start a new career. This is something that he wants. And you can see that in a guy. You can see a guy who wants to learn, who this is what he wants to do.
And John, you know, you talked about earlier, we got about a couple minutes left in the segment, so about college credits. In other words, when somebody graduates the apprentice program at one of the pipe trades, and that includes the plumbers, the steam fitters, the sprinkler fitters, tell me about the college credits that they accrue.
Well, we belong to a larger organization called the United Association, which is countrywide, Canada, Australia, and Ireland. And even us as instructors, we never stop learning. We go to school once a year out at Washington Hall Community College. So anybody that has graduated from our program after the year 2000 gets 42 college credits towards a bachelor's degree. And I believe Rowan University is one of the universities that participates with our program. So these guys can continue their education to be a project manager, to be an owner, to be an estimator, to be different things besides just a plumber in the field.
Well, I'll tell you, and that's one of the things I was going to say. There's so many opportunities when you leave when you graduate apprentice school. From what I understand, I mean, and this is a great thing. When somebody goes to apprentice school, they're not paying out of their own pocket, and the government's not paying. This is paid for 100% by the union. Am I correct?
Absolutely. The membership pays for our own education. We spend over $1 million a year on educating our members. And even being an apprentice, as you're done, your education doesn't stop there. We offer journeyman upgrading. And the good thing about us is we don't deal with third parties. We deal right with the manufacturers. They come to us and they say, hey, this is a new thing we're introducing. And they send us to school to teach the students about everything new. So that's why we are the best of the best, because we're on top of everything before it comes out into the field.
Now real quick, John, and that is unbelievable, awesome, and that gives you about anybody who didn't know what apprentice is. How does somebody apply for apprenticeship at Local 690?
2 weeks of the year, and it just ended on Friday. But the first 2 weeks in January, we take applications. All you need is a driver's license, an ID, a high school certificate, or an equivalency, and a good moral character, and we're willing to talk to you.
John Quirk joining us here from Plumbers Local 690 on a Saturday night. Enjoy cheering on the Eagles tomorrow night, John, and thanks very much for coming on the program tonight.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right,
You
good
too, John.
stuff
Thank
here
you.
on Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We have just about a minute left in the program. I'm going to give Mike 15 seconds, Joe 15 seconds, J-Doc 5 seconds, and then I'll close it out. Go ahead, Michael.
So bridging the gap for veterans, we're making a difference. We can help the military community find a job, get that door open. See our website at bridgingthegap.vet, and we can help you.
All right, good stuff, and we look forward to doing a lot with you, Joe.
Yeah, this one, just let everybody know, any employers, being second chance offenders, everybody needs a chance, and just everybody needs a chance, so give everybody a chance.
Well said.
Good stuff by Joe Robinson. And J-Doc, I come to you. Our initiative has officially launched here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Absolutely. Can't wait for the next year and the future. The PhillyAtWork initiative. Glad to have Joe and Mike on board.
All right, all good stuff tonight, and a special thanks to Councilman David O. As well. That's going to do it on this Saturday night. This is Saturday Night Live with PhillyLabor on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. For J-Doc, for Glenn, for all of our listening audience tonight on a Saturday night, I'm Joe Krause. See you next time.
This program is a paid commercial announcement and in no way represents the views of WPHT or its management.